Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
to the Sustainability Advisory Committee meeting, December the 5th at 7 o'clock or 7:05. Should we just have a roll call to see everyone's here?
Ryan Jean.
Jackie Ojala. Chetna Palmer.
Chris Zigmont, Chris, you drive.
And Dan Chartrand,
Thank you.
Select
Thank you.
Board Rep.
Thank you, everyone. Just before we move on, I just wanted to let everyone know that Adam, who was part of our committee, has stepped away, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank him for his time and also his input during the meetings and outside of the meetings over the past few years.
Yeah, it's great to have him. It's a big loss.
Just want to acknowledge that, and hopefully he'll rejoin at some point. So, yeah, thank you, Adam. All right, it's been a while since we've had a meeting, unfortunately. Our last meeting was in September, the 6th. Any comments, thoughts on the minutes before we go for an approval?
There's a question right at the beginning that there wasn't a quorum to approve the August minutes.
No.
So
Oh, shoot.
how does that go about?
I guess
We
have
should
to-
continue reviewing those, and I'll go grab the August minutes.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
Does that work?
Good catch.
Nice.
Wait a minute, somebody's reading them. That's great. Thank you, Ryan.
Of course. I do what I can, Chris.
All right.
So I would say not approve until that's done.
Okay.
Interesting. Well, I have a question for Dan then, and you might not have the answer. So these are minutes from a meeting that didn't have a quorum. Are they minutes? If a tree falls in the forest.
Yeah, it's probably good to approve them since we did have discussions about topics. We didn't
Vote on anything.
vote on anything because we didn't have a quorum.
Okay.
But it's good to memorialize the conversations.
Okay, fair enough.
Technically, maybe not, but let's do it.
Let's do it anyway. Okay.
Yeah. Put a belt and suspenders on it. And then if we weren't supposed to do that, well, there you go.
I think no harm then, yeah.
No one got hit by the tree.
That's right.
Still some interesting discussions, though.
Yeah, no, really, really good discussions, really good topics, and so are tonight's agenda, so, yeah. Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank
Very
you.
much.
The only thing that's missing is, Jackie, your name at the after that back page.
That's all right.
Figured it wasn't worth completing.
Thank you.
All right, so we have to go ahead and, before we move on, we have to approve the August the 1st minutes. Because we didn't do that at the September meeting because we didn't have a quorum. So, quick read of that. We had Stacy leave, stepped away. All right, any comments or changes to the minutes from the 1st of August?
No, I would, if there's none, I would move to pass it.
Second? Second. Thank you. All right, so the August 1st are approved. So the minutes of the 6th of September, I think we're just going to take them as, even though there wasn't a quorum at that meeting, just discussions, we'll just still go ahead and acknowledge them and approve them.
Yep, I would move to make a motion to approve the meetings of the non-quorum meeting of September 5th.
Second.
Second. Thank you, everyone. All right.
All right.
Okay, so we have a couple of things that we haven't been able to discuss much about, in terms of, we did talk about having a rotating chair and sort of changing and giving others the opportunity to take the lead and lessen the burden of being the chair and so on and so forth. And unfortunately, we were told that we can't have a rolling chair situation. So should the conversation come first on the mergers conversation before we talk about roles, or should we talk about roles first?
I think there's maybe, if I might, three things at play. One of the other discussions that happened the last time we met was a change of schedule, right? A change of frequency. Where perhaps we look at a quarterly meeting and other meetings that we could call if needed, with, providing that we meet the town rules for posting, public notice and things like that, but move to a quarterly meeting. So how does that square with desire for a merger with some of the other committees that we talked about, including energy and maybe conservation, along with, we also owe it to the committee as far back as May or June to, amongst ourselves, reassign roles for chair and vice chair and secretary. So I think all those things really are part of the same discussion. Yeah, same discussion. So.
Okay, my first question is the frequency of the meetings. Is that something that has happened with other committees for the town?
Yeah, there's a precedent for it. It's more common to have monthly meetings typically, but there are other committees that have, sort of done a more attenuated schedule, so.
And
quarterly.
How does that, the effectiveness of those committees, how does that land?
If nothing happens outside the meetings, it makes them less effective. If there's activity going on, amongst individuals, or you're coordinating at that quarterly meeting, and laying out a work plan for between that and the next meeting, then it works well. But if it's a committee that only does work when they meet, it's less effective, definitely.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I have a sense that there's work that happens in between meetings with this, with the Sustainability Advisory Committee.
If we approved the frequency of quarterly, would that change our charge as it stands? Would that have to be revised?
Kristen, was that discussed?
It was not discussed.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. Was there something in the original language that the town voted on that said anything about monthly meetings?
Don't think so.
Yeah,
Not that.
and then I think you're fine. As long as you're not contravening whatever the voters approved, you're fine, I would say. You'll get a confirmation on
I
that.
will, yeah. But that sounds right.
That would be my sense.
Okay. We're just having a conversation about frequency of meetings, whether the other addition of merging with the Energy Committee, and then the roles of the members. So it's a whole.
Can I just make a comment about the merger, or potential for a merger? The Energy Committee is going to be down some folks, correct? Yeah, Lou's leaving,
Lou
right?
and Renee.
And Renee.
Oh, and Renee as well.
resigning at the end of
So they're going to be down folks as well. And it's not a complete overlap between these two committees, and I understand that you have your own charge, but they could use your help. There's a lot of energy on the Sustainability Advisory Committee. and that might help to sustain sort of the amazing things that they've gotten done. Is Stephanie Marshall remaining?
Yeah.
And who else is staying?
So
Amy?
Stephanie, Amy, Ryan is on the Energy Committee, and Cliff Sinnott.
And have they indicated an interest in this merger?
Yeah, I think it was brought up initially when Renee was talking about, the Energy Committee being down those positions.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I'll offer my perspective, I guess, after you all talk it out, but
I just wanted
I think
to get
there's value there from the Energy Committee's perspective.
And it would eliminate the issue of maintaining a quorum because there are enough active people between the two committees that the quorum issue would go away.
So would they meet as one committee?
You could organize this, I imagine, in any way that the two groups agreed to. For instance, you could merge with the Energy Committee and call it like Sustainability and Energy or Energy and Sustainability. I'll let you guys work out which comes first. But then you could have subcommittees, right?
Right, yeah, and I guess that's where I was going. Ultimately, it would be the select board would need to make some decision. You could make a recommendation based on your interests. But
Nico and I met a couple weeks ago. We were charged by the select board with coming up with recommendations for how to eliminate these, because post-COVID, we've had trouble making quorums on several committees, and we're trying to eliminate that issue. So Nico and I met, I kind of expressed my opinion on things. He's going to write up a recommendation to the board, and they're going to take that up. But obviously, what you want is going to weigh heavily.
Sure.
Especially where your committee was, voted on by the town and approved. So there's a high degree of respect for what you're doing, what you've accomplished, and your charge, which comes directly from the legislative body, the voters. That's the highest power in our form of government. So we really are relying on you to tell us if you want to remain on your own, if you want to merge with a subcommittee, or you want to merge completely and all work together on all the issues. I think those are the three options.
Well, it's interesting from a discussion perspective anyway, that there's actually some interesting overlap on both the charges, which is great. I think they're, at the 10,000 foot level, hopefully driving toward, similar objectives. But there's a lot of specificity in each charge that is not aligned, or tactically aligned, I guess I'd say. They're very different tactical missions, but that doesn't mean they couldn't coexist at all. I think there's also great value if there's waning attendance across committees for whatever, it's a separate discussion as to the why. There would be some value in packing some similar committees like these two together, which I think would add some value. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Everybody else's thoughts?
Yes and no. There's part of me which sort of says, in terms of sustainability, it overarches a lot of other departments, right? It overarches everything, basically.
Sure.
And energy is a part of that, comes under the umbrella. So I would be disappointed in terms of having sort of sustainability be like an add-on and sort of forgotten. Especially, I feel that it's now more than ever that sustainability issues are, the number one priority with everything going on with climate actions and the climate crisis, basically. And I feel that from that perspective, I don't want sort of the issues like plastic and all, everything else. Looking at renewables, looking at composting, just general, sustainability issues to be sort of watered down in a way that, that there isn't that impactful changes that can be made are not sort of being made. And I just feel, I don't want to see that happening. The focus of having the Sustainability Advisory Committee, of trying to, raise awareness and outreach, and obviously we had COVID and everything else that just sort of slowed everything down, and having come out of that, trying to generate more people to be part of the committee and be more involved and more proactive to bring about actual change. And so there's a part of me which says to keep it separate, to really build and really, have sustainability being across the board, across all departments, because it affects everyone, and really, drive that through. Whereas, as much as I see energy is part and parcel of sustainability, I don't want to the perception of seeing it being so watered down or so forgotten.
I understand the concern, for sure. What do you guys, Nina and everybody else, what do you guys think?
I would agree with Chad on that point of the other side of it being it's very hard, as we've seen, to keep members and to keep quorums. And so from that perspective, I think combining forces would make sense, but only from that, I do think that it would, in fact, get a little watered down. Because, we have important issues, as does the Energy Committee. But what is the capacity, even though your group will be larger, to address issues and things that we've been able to get accomplished by being in this concentrated group? So I would lean more towards keeping it separate, but how do we figure out that other side of it, right? Like that side that we decided, like let's make it so, we rotate chairs for the meetings and stuff like that, and alleviate sort of all the burden on one person, and that was shut down. So it's, I guess we have to look back at what are the rules of committees and towns, and how quickly can those rules almost be changed, right? Yeah. For modern times. Like it's post-COVID. Like, why can't we, have a quorum if somebody cannot make it, but they can make it on Zoom, or, they're traveling for whatever reason.
There's a difficulty with that with the state legislature.
Right, yeah, so that's a bigger issue.
Selectwoman Gilman, in her capacity as a representative, is working on that, but it has not passed the Republican-controlled House.
Right.
And I don't know where it is in the Senate, up in Concord, but that's specifically the issue. During the pandemic, that person that was on Zoom counted towards a quorum. Right. But once the emergency ended, evidently it didn't. So, which is unfortunate. That shouldn't be that way.
Right.
Jackie, what are your thoughts?
I feel like I have a lot of the same conflicted feelings as what everyone's been saying, as far as I wouldn't want what we're focused on and the plastics and everything we've done there to kind of fall to the wayside or get watered down, but also I wouldn't want to lose it all together if we can't get the people to be here. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure how to reconcile that completely, but I see both sides of it.
Ryan?
Yeah, I've been a part of those, the Energy Committee meetings as, part of the public multiple times. And I feel like, the goals of that committee do align with our mission in terms of sustainable future and protection for our area. I think that with appropriate planning of subcommittees, that, realistically, even though the the true Sustainability Advisory Committee itself would no longer be, and there would be, a muddying of the mission. Realistically, the goals could still be achieved, and likely with larger support of a larger group. I think that with the proper planning of those subcommittees, that there would be some more crossing of aisles rather than just, the four of us being pushed into a committee of others. It would be, hey, let's talk about creating a sustainability side or a sustainability subcommittee that others can partake in, not just us. I think there's power in numbers, especially when, as we've seen in the past couple months, we cannot provide those numbers ourselves. That if we want to move any type of action forward, then this is a smart option.
Yeah, I like a lot of what you said, and I think one of the things that we're obviously speaking in a bit of a vacuum, right? Because we don't know how they feel and maybe how eager and excited they are to expand their mission as well.
Yeah.
And if we really look at this as and put this forward as a merger, and we reflect on our charge, and we look at the key nuggets that are critical to what we want to accomplish, we can certainly make a proposal to say we would support merging these two committees, provided we can keep these critical elements in a merged charge that are part of the larger umbrella of sustainability. And I have a sneaking suspicion, after just looking at their charge quickly, there's a likelihood that I don't think we get much of a pushback on that, right? And I also think too, if we ask ourselves why we're sitting here tonight and not at home with our family, it's to get these things done. And if to get these things done, we need more bodies to get it done, then it's hard to argue against that. Mm-hmm. It is hard to argue against that.
I do think that something that didn't exist, right, when Sustainability Committee was created was my position, a dedicated staff role. And so I guess I just want to be sure that you're clear that whether there is a Sustainability Committee or not, I'm still here looking to bring forward those same tasks and those same accomplishments. And so however it works out, you can call me up and say, hey, let's focus on this issue, and I'm willing to volunteer time. Adam offered that in his letter of resignation as well. It was just the formality of the meeting that was a challenge. Yep. And so I don't know. I feel pretty confident that the original intent can still be met. It's just a matter of kind of loosening, in a sense, the formality of that and creating either subcommittees or, a group of folks that work not as a committee to move something forward. I think there's potential.
I have a few thoughts. Do you mind if I?
Yeah, sure.
Your point about being a dedicated staff person, that's critical. Would it be possible for you to organize the two committees to have kind of like a meeting in early January?
Yeah.
Before the warrant is finalized? I don't know if this needs to go on the warrant for the town to vote, but just in case, put a meeting together in early January for energy and sustainability to meet and find out if there's a fit and a willingness to kind of preserve the two areas of work within the structure of one committee. I would, if I were in your seats, I would be hesitant to throw myself into that without that meeting. Yeah, you can all feel it out and see if it
makes sense.
Seems right.
That's great.
Is that possible to put that together in early January?
Yeah.
I think we do our public hearing on the warrant somewhere around January 16th.
Okay.
Again, I don't know if this needs to go on the warrant.
Right. I don't think the vote
Yeah.
was specific to establish the committee. I think and I was just trying to quickly look, and I'm sorry I didn't come prepared for this, but I believe the vote was to create, to focus on creating a committee to develop a sustainability office. And I think it was the discussions for coming up with a position description and all of that, where the sustainability committee kind of formed around.
Yeah, I think also from how it looks, speaking from the private sector, I don't see this as an acquisition. I see this as a merger, right? It's not, we're not getting folded into and getting dissolved into the energy committee. I would really look to a shared mission, a shared sustainability mission, of which they are a big part of.
And the meeting in early January could confirm that was their approach and your approach. They probably have some hesitance too.
Sure.
I do know that they just knocked off a huge part of their agenda with the community power.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's space in their, what they want to do next, I would imagine.
Yeah. So
I mean, one of the reasons Renee and Lou are kind of stepping aside is they feel like they've accomplished some of what they wanted to accomplish.
Yeah.
So it would be great if you all met. And I'd be happy to be there if that would be helpful.
So, just sort of stepping slightly in terms of the frequency of meetings, is that something that is, again, something for discussion in terms of, okay, if we stayed separate, would we want to change the frequency of them? Or is that a discussion to be had after we've had the meeting with Energy Committee?
There's no harm in having both.
Yeah.
Both discussions.
You could change your schedule tonight since you have a quorum.
Right.
And I would urge you to do that. If you're all inclined to do more of a quarterly meeting with, sort of activity coordinated by your staff side person, I think that would be a great idea.
Right.
But again,
Yeah.
knowing
this
that,
is yours, not mine.
No, knowing that
I'm just here to advise.
No, it makes good sense. I think especially you're right, because
We're here.
we're staff.
The anvil's here. The metal's hot.
So, okay.
Let's strike.
So let's just put aside the discussion with Energy Committee for early January. So if we stay as we are, shall we talk about frequency and SAC roles?
Jenna, could I ask one question? Is this the entire roster of the committee
Yes.
currently? So we have 100% attendance tonight? Well, I don't know if we've had a committee that's had 100% attendance lately, so congratulations to all of you. It's impressive. That's really great. Okay, I'll be quiet now.
Yeah. And on the back of that, I'd also like to talk about sort of how we can engage more people to come and be part of this.
I'd love to be turning people away.
Yeah. So okay. All right. So frequency. Any thoughts?
Dan and I chatted a little bit about this a month or two ago. I can embrace the quarterly thought, provided we had strong subcommittees and leaders to drive the work at home, to use those quarterlies as approvals and getting things done. My well-founded fear is that because life is terribly busy, and by not having the constant ping of the meeting to drive you to get your stuff done, that would fall by the wayside. So I think we just need to redouble our efforts in some method to make sure the work's getting done. I think the quarterly might solve some of the things, but I think the other gross reality, and I know from my schedule, is that I guess if we know it's quarterly, we can dump them in the calendar right now, but there are going to still be conflicts. Doesn't mean we can't shift them around, right? I think we may have a little more leeway if we had quarterly. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you on that.
I think that's what I would be concerned about too, is just, will the quarterly solve the quorum thing, or is it still going to be like, I have this conflict
But I think
at that time?
I think if we decided on, say, quarterly right now and had those dates put in, and then the chair could then make sure that, a few weeks out before that quarter meeting to make sure that everyone's still okay, or if that date needs to be moved for that week or something, then hopefully it can be.
Yeah, we'd have some flexibility.
Yeah. Because everyone has had, long enough time.
Yeah, definitely. So it would be something we could just move if needed.
What about every other month or
easy?
Also, sorry, Kristen.
I was just going to say, changing it, I would ideally like to have a fixed date, because there's TV staff and work that has to happen on the back end to get the filming set up and all of that. So I think, yes, there can be flexibility to change, but it needs to really not happen that often.
Unless it's urgent. And I guess all probably also depends on the progress being made by the subcommittees.
Agreed, and it's hard to have this conversation in a silo, because one of the benefits of having a larger committee is if any one individual or two individuals couldn't make it because of a conflict, it gives you the comfort knowing you'd have a quorum to get something done. So the challenge here is that we have this really tight, efficient little committee now of 5 humans, and moving into quarterly, it puts a ton more pressure on each one of those dates to be effective. And if someone's sick, call out of town for business, whatever the pop-up is, it makes for a half a year gap to get something done. That's the challenge. So Nina, you said, what about every other month? So I have a dog, and we have 2 things we have to give the dog. One thing we have to give the dog every month, and the other thing we have to give the dog every 12 weeks. And guess which one we screw up all the time? It's the every 12-week one. That's my,
Thank you for that. I just remembered we didn't give her dog at the end of the month. Ding. Thank you, Chris.
So it's like these off-tempo things are really much harder to manage.
Right.
I think we're all adults, so we could probably figure it out. But there is something fearful about that quarter gap,
Every 3 months. As opposed to 4.
Yeah,
The other thing you could do is not move on it right now and see how the conversation goes at the beginning of January.
as well.
Yeah.
My thing is that we move on it today.
You want to.
Just as a plan B or plan A.
It was, the Energy Committee is supportive. That's where I think the conversation initiated. So, and then Julie mentioned it at the select board meeting. Maybe there were conversations about quorum and committee efficiencies before that, but I just think of if there are 3 members from sustainability adding to a 7-member committee, you kind of have the power to ensure that the Energy Committee that the Energy Committee continues to bring forward sustainability issues, just to kind of play a little bit of devil's advocate there. I think it's there, but I understand that you want to talk through it with the committee, and I think that makes sense, but I think that fear is unfettered. I think that it'll happen anyway.
The quorum requirement for this committee is based on the larger number. We're down 2 members. It takes a select board vote to reduce the size of the committee, which would reduce our quorum number.
Was the number set by the language in the warrant when the voters approved sustainability?
No.
So we should probably have Russ talk to legal counsel about exactly what we need to do in all these different scenarios, Kristen. Would you mind? Yeah, because at this point, I'm out of my element.
Because the warrant was nothing to do with having a sustainability committee. It was all to do with
The office, yeah.
appointing a part-time position. And then obviously that was voted in by
The select board created the
select
the
advisory
select board.
committee.
So there was a whole situation where the town had voted in for a part-time position, but then the select board needed evidence as to where and how, who would pay for the salary of that part-time.
And they also probably wanted some citizen participation.
Yeah, so
That's
then,
always desirable. But it was a vote of the select board, not the town.
Yeah, so the group of us who were involved in the petition, the petition, the warrant, and then subsequently putting all the work together to demonstrate of how other towns in the state, in Maine as well, and Massachusetts as well as New Hampshire, how other towns were dealing with sustainability, and like some had positions in the energy planning, and then there was like Portland in Maine, had a dedicated sustainability person, and now they've gone to a full-time director person, and they have additional staff as well. And we demonstrated how all the different towns were doing it, and how progress had been made on sustainability under those different scenarios, and how that position was being paid for through savings that had been demonstrated and had been made through sustainability activities that had saved the town money, was able to pay for those positions. The select board the budget committee weren't happy with all the situation that had been put forward. So then ultimately it was decided that if we had an ad hoc committee put together to drive the job description and so on and go forward with that. So that's why.
So it was created by the select board. Got it. Well, then it should be possible for the select board to change in whatever way you want. And I'd be happy to recommend that to the board as a whole.
Yeah.
But it is true that Selectwoman Gilman, I think, was the first one to bring up the idea of merging the two. She saw a possibility there, and I think she's the rep for the Energy Committee. Yeah. So
with the merger...
But that's not to put any pressure on you to do that if you don't want to.
Right. So with the merger, that would mean that we would meet as a collective on a monthly basis.
Once a month, yeah. I would think.
And we would discuss both energy issues as well as sustainability.
I mean, that's what we would propose, is to be a merged committee so that we'd bring both agendas together. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be pleased personally with, like I said, becoming a subcommittee of the Energy Committee, because it really, sustainability is a larger umbrella than that. So I'd love to see it as a genuine, meeting of the minds and meeting of the charges. But to your point, we should talk about the frequency topic first and vote on that and get that in the can, and then no matter what happens with the other discussion, then...
Okay. All right. So what are we going for, 3 months, 4 months?
I don't know, what do you want to propose? Do we want to make a motion? Every third... No.
Could I make a suggestion? Mm-hmm. There's some legitimate concerns that have been expressed about putting it off for so long that you don't get the ping of the meeting coming up. Why don't you go to every other month? Would that work? It's just 2 months is better than 3 months.
I agree.
Yeah, that's what I was.
I think you need some relief on the monthly thing.
Yeah.
For two reasons.
So too quickly.
You're on the razor's edge in terms of quorum.
Yeah.
So you can kind of maneuver your schedule if it's every other month as opposed to every month. And then secondly, the onerous burden of being chair, which we're requiring one person to do. And a 6 time a year is a lot better than a 12 time a year on the chair.
Yeah, agreed.
And vice chair.
Yeah.
So that would be my suggestion. And again, I'll be quiet now. Yes.
It was a vote of yes from us behind. I don't know, or a heavy sneeze.
All right. So motion to move our monthly meetings to every 2 months. Once every 2 months.
I'd second that motion.
Who made the motion?
Are you making the motion?
Am I making the motion?
I'm asking.
Am I allowed to make the motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I motion that the Sustainability Advisory Committee move to have the monthly meeting changed to every other month. So once every 2 months.
I would second that.
Fair.
Yes?
Yes, agree.
All in favor?
It's unanimous.
Motion approved. Okay, that's good. So when would we start? January? No. Yeah. So from January on?
Yeah,
or from
keep it January.
January.
So
Yeah, and your joint meeting with Energy can be your monthly meeting. You can actually,
After that.
open your meeting and they can open theirs and then you can meet together. We just did that with the Swayze Board trustees to discuss, getting the voters' will in place down there.
So 2 separate things, and they open both meetings, and
Yeah.
that's great.
When does Energy meet?
Second Wednesday of the month at 3:30.
at 3:30.
That's what I didn't want to bring up, but was something that is difficult, is the timing of that meeting is not conducive
And it's at what time of day?
3:30.
to
Yeah.
people that work 9 to 5.
So that's on the agenda of your joint meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not
Yeah, that's definitely, no.
You can say, we want this to happen, but
At 7
the
o'clock
time of the
is a good
meeting, we need an evening meeting.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So,
How long is it
it's
always
a
been at
perfect
3:30?
example of why you're going to meet
Wow.
I
jointly.
have no idea how they bring such numbers at that time, but they are successful.
A lot of-
Yeah, I think the
Retirees
intent
or-
was a lot of the committee meetings bring in staff for different topics, and so,
Okay.
so that
They're here.
since staff is here, it's overlap. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are other committees that meet in the afternoon, and then I think the bulk of committees meet in the evening. But there are others. River Study always meets in the afternoon.
Yeah, throw that on the agenda,
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh, because it's a merger doesn't mean we're adopting their time.
Right.
Also, it's a merger. Exactly.
Yep.
That could be.
So, Dan, what is the time frame for the select board's discussion on committees?
Well,
Is that,
if it has to go on the warrant,
it doesn't?
then I don't think we're going to, my sense of it, and I'd have to check back with Chairman Papa Constantis, but I don't think we need to put time pressure on this.
Okay.
It needs, you need all the time that you need to discuss this with Energy, and I don't think we need to force it.
Okay.
Because that would be, I think, putting so much pressure on it that it probably won't succeed. Have that initial meeting, and then I'll make sure I show up, and I can report back to the board on what, well, Julie will be there as well for Energy. So the two of us can report back to the board on what we heard
Okay.
in the opening merger talks.
Yeah, right.
This is high-level stuff.
High level stuff. Okay. All right. Okay. So we'll figure out a date in January for that.
And I'm sure Kristen can coordinate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they're interested in after 5 p.m., that would be helpful.
After 6.
After 6.
Yeah. 7 o'clock works fine. Okay. All right. So with that, do we want to discuss SAC member roles? Do you wait for Chris?
Kids couldn't find anything to talk about while I was away?
No, well, so do we want to talk about SAC member roles?
Yeah, I think we should. I think
Yeah.
we're long overdue.
Okay. So bearing in mind that we'll be putting Energy aside, a meeting every 2 months. What are people's thoughts on volunteering for chair, vice chair? What other roles are they? Jackie's role as
I think Jackie should have done a much worse job because she's going to keep getting nominated for doing such a good job. That's the difficulty. You should have more typos and more problems.
I can add some minutes. No, I don't mind doing this.
Keyboard drag, no problem.
I had said out loud, unfortunately, in a room with other people, that if we were able to change the frequency, I would entertain the chair. That said, I wouldn't want you too far away because you've forgotten more than I'll ever know about sustainability. So I'd want you to be very close. So.
Oh, okay. Anyone else?
I can comment and say that to be upfront and clear, I'm not terribly interested in taking on a leadership role in the committee. Being 100% open, I think that's appropriate.
Yeah, that's fine.
What I should do. I have a lot of outside commitments that I'm afraid that I would fall short on my responsibilities. More than willing to partake and affect in any way that I can, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
I would second that motion.
So eloquently put.
All right.
Yeah.
Rock,
and I
paper, scissors.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to Rochambeau our way into it.
I mean, Chris, if I were doing this negotiation, I would ask Chetna to commit to being vice chair and you'll be chair.
I guess I should say exactly that. I would only.
You'd be willing.
Would you be willing to be vice chair if I did that?
Yeah, perfectly fine.
Okay. We'll shake on it for a second. Now it's a deal. All right, well, we have to ask these people to vote on that, so. Do you want to make a motion, Madam Chair?
Motion that Chris takes over as chairperson and, do you want to vote for that first?
Yeah.
Motion. Everyone say
Yes.
aye.
Yeah.
Abstain.
You can vote for yourself.
Smart move.
Very humble.
Never twist your arm.
Motion to have myself, Chetna, be the vice chair.
I'd second that.
Aye.
Yeah.
All in favor?
All right, that was painless. All right.
Do we want to renominate Jackie to be our secretary?
Oh,
yes.
Yes.
She's like, really?
You're okay with that?
I think we voted on me in March, but that's okay.
Oh, did we? Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. You already, yeah.
You're ready.
It's been since March we haven't solved this stuff, hasn't it? Yeah. It's in the notes, isn't it?
Read them.
We did agree on one. We agreed on one.
Deliberation is key.
Yeah.
So you're all set. You have officers.
Okay. All right. Am I carrying on?
Yeah, because this is still your meeting, I
If
think.
I could say one thing, I just want to say thank you very much for committing to the responsibility of taking on those roles.
Oh,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, all three.
don't thank us yet.
Yeah.
Thank you all three of
Okay
you.
so
Yes.
far, so.
Yeah.
All right. A couple of more things on our agenda. So I think our committee still has some money stored away that we haven't spent.
We gotta spend it quick.
We better spend it quick, yeah. And so we had, I think Kristen had some ideas of those compost bins, like a giveaway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so we just want an idea as to on sort of what kind of thing should we give away them for.
I love that idea a lot.
Yeah.
And thinking about what Public Works has done with other things like rain barrels, I think using that mechanism, because a lot of people follow Public Works on Facebook, and if we find out how many we can buy for the amount of money we have, and make sure if we don't need, I mean, Jesus, December, so we didn't really save any money in the budget for the rest of the year, and then work with Public Works to get it posted and given away in a first come, first served basis.
Can I have my name on the top of the list?
Yeah, we get on the front.
Yeah.
Can we get the hours of the dump printed on those? That's
a great idea.
That's a great
Like,
Stencil them on.
I've driven over there so many times with my.
But what we
Tuesday,
I know.
Tuesday 9 to 1,
I know.
Is that 1 o'clock?
Friday 9 to 1,
Finally.
Fridays.
and Saturday is 9 to 2.
But what we could do is get a QR sticker for the hours page
Yes.
stuck on it, because I'm sure those
Yes.
hours will improve.
Yes,
So
right.
as long as you can go to the hours page.
Yes.
Yeah.
But do we
Yeah.
want anything, not to just to give away, do we want something from the
In return.
residents, an incentive for having a bin?
Yeah, like some sort of contest
Yeah,
or
competition
awareness or
something,
awareness thing.
You know, because I think just to give away is, you know, I think there should be something.
One thing I was thinking about when we were talking about altering the frequency of SAC was, how do we get some sort of either quarterly standing activity for sustainability? And so I think I had emailed you this, Chetna, but I thought about, you know, there are a variety of things that you can incite change for. And so to me, I thought like the compost bins, if we hosted a film festival and, you know, had one film focused on reduction of food waste or the impact of food waste, and that one gives away compost bins. And then a second one for, like in the winter at some point, you know, like fast fashion or something, and then run a Helpsy clothing drive.
That's
and then the other one
and
was...
give away bins.
Right. Different bins.
So at every quarterly event, you're pushing the bins up.
Yeah, unless there are, so we have enough money to buy 32 compost bins and the compostable bin, a small pack of the compostable bin liners, just to make it super easy for those people that want to sign up. And then, so that would use up, we'd make that purchase now, so that would use up this year's funds. And then, you know, we could do the Rain Barrel program and highlight the Public Works Rain Barrel giveaway and maybe use the next year's funding to purchase the kits to retrofit the rain barrels. So it could be, and I think that would really help to kind of to promote sustainability throughout the year by having some sort of sustainability focused.
So I like your idea, but I want to put a kooky twist on it.
Yeah.
So if we have approximately 30, a little more than 30, maybe we save 2 in case some break or something like that. What if we open up an application for 30 families to work with us for a year to become a 3-bin family instead of a 2-bin family? And for this opportunity to do that, I like to either keep a log or a quarterly, you know, a YouTube post or something like that will work with Exeter TV to talk about how they're taking their wet waste down and they're reducing their blue bag content and things like that.
I love that.
And because I think the argument we're going to have when we get to, you know, our objective of getting to curbside compost and, you know, getting rid of plastic blue bags and things like that, I think we have to have a test case. We have to prove that it can be done. And why not set the stage to let 30 families in Exeter give it a go for a year?
And the communications committee would love that because they want departments to be thinking about pushing information through the sort of media that they put together.
Yeah.
So that's brilliant.
So,
I think-
go ahead.
And I think the makeup of the families should vary
Absolutely.
in terms of, you know, those that may be, you know, an individual living in an apartment, you know, with not much outdoor space or whatever, you know, and then you've got, you know, maybe somebody living in a multifamily home, another one with, you know, just different makeup of different, I think would really give us that data or whatever that we need to say, and to then say, well, we have demonstrated that these are the issues, or this is what's worked, this hasn't worked, this is how we can improve it, this is how.
I think it should vary by geography, by housing type, by family structure, by all sorts of things. So if we put some basic questionnaire together for an application, that when we do it on a Google form or something, whatever is approved by the town, and push it out there and announce it, that we'd like to work with 30 families to try this experiment.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Great.
But I don't want to lose sight of the idea of a quarterly event as a way to kind of raise the awareness of what sustainability is doing, and also to have those events to push activities out to more people. Those are both good ideas.
Agreed. And I think about like Rain Barrel, and I think about, because my first thought was like Rain Barrel, when we put those out there the past few years, you know, people that are already inclined, go get them, right? If you're already in the fold, right? It's one of the things I learned a long time ago when lobbying our Congress for bike and pedestrian infrastructure was to stop talking to people that already agree with me. Is the work to be done is to go talk to the other people that don't agree with you yet. And what I'd love to do is use that same sort of tool. If the first one's a successful experiment, so I'd love to teach more people to capture rainwater, to apply, to set up an application for people that don't yet have a rain barrel on their property, And every time we come up with some sort of incentivized thing, it's about pulling new people in and them agreeing to chat with us about the success and failure of it.
Yeah. I think we should push it out through the schools.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boy, think how well that helps he went with the schools, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
It's great.
Good.
Did you talking about clothing? Did anyone see that poster that Dover Library's doing about clothes library?
No.
Yeah, so it's apparently taking over everywhere, and I was going to see whether I don't know whether Exeter's, but there is, I think it's coming up, I think it's coming up. So basically, you can just go and rent from the Dover Library.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, clothes for the evening or whatever, instead of buying an evening outfit.
That's a super cool idea. It's like a tuxedo rental shop, but for everything.
Public libraries doing it?
That's really cool.
Dover Library.
That's incredible.
That's really cool.
That's
They partnered with a student at UNH, so I think they're doing it as part of their either thesis or PhD, and so they're testing out this as a model approach.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
There's
really
quite a
cool,
lot of other places are doing it.
That's super cool.
Yeah, because I saw the Dover one, and then somebody else mentioned it somewhere else that they're doing it in their local library,
Like Cambridge.
clothing library. Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
borrow, don't buy. December the 1st it was. Yeah,
Very cool.
so maybe approach Exeter Library.
Yeah. Well, they've done so many cool things over there. I'm sure they'd be into it. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So, are we agreed that you'll go buy a whole bunch of bins, and then
Yes.
we'll work on our program to get rid of them?
Yep.
Awesome.
But I do think that we should, I don't want to wait until the next meeting to solidify this approach.
No.
So,
We should pull a little compost subcommittee together to pull that, to make that actionable.
Yeah, and push it out with Exeter TV to say we need families
Right, content.
and get that form out.
Yep.
Figure out what we actually want them to keep track of or
Yeah.
tell us.
Yep.
yeah, I mean, even if it's just number of blue bags each week and number of compost dumps,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
weight or something like that.
Yeah, it's really remarkable. When I started composting in my backyard, I no longer had a blue bag out every week.
It's amazing how much volume it
Yeah.
takes away.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's cool.
It is cool. Yeah, there are some stretches where I'll put a blue bag out once every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really powerful. But the dog means I can't compost in my backyard anymore. It's this like little wrinkle that I didn't think about.
What's the plan for storage of these?
Yeah, so I'll probably buy I need to
It's only 32.
clean out.
It's only 32.
It's a lot. They do
Yeah,
stack. Yeah, they do stack
Yeah.
kind of easy. It's just the lids that are a problem.
Yeah. And-
But we have space in the basement.
okay, great.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that.
We're going to your house. Kidding me?
I just hope they don't sit around for I hope we get 30 people signed up right now.
That's
Yeah.
I recognize your concern from
Yeah.
wanting.
Bob Glowacki is really good at turning around video content.
I'm so excited for his stuff. So
He could just do a video of you explaining or different members of the committee explaining the concept, and it's going to push the information out there.
it's a cool idea.
Yeah.
Who would like to volunteer for a subcommittee to see this through?
I would like to be part of it.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
You join me on that?
Yes.
Terrific. Do we need another as a backup?
We might, yeah.
All right, how about Jackie, Nina, and I? All right,
You can keep me on the edges if you want me.
absolutely. We want you badly, yeah.
All right, progress. All right, moving on. Feedback on the pumpkin composting that we had following Halloween. I think it went well. Probably not as a great uptake as we've had in the previous years, but we still had a lot of people come by and leave their pumpkins in the bins that Lainey and Lou kindly allowed us to use. So again, appreciative of them letting us to do that.
Yeah.
I think it's really great to have that, and it's a visual, and they're there, and and obviously word has gone out about bringing pumpkins to be composted. Thank you, Jackie, for the poster, as always.
As always, yeah.
It's always good. As always, there's always, feedback from the Facebook forum, Exeter forum, about why do I need to bring it to Lainey Lou's to be composted? I can just put it out in their backyard for the deer or the animals to eat, which is perfectly fine. And I know, a lot of local farms also take them back.
Yeah.
So again, it's just an alternative to, especially people who don't have woods. Their backyard doesn't go onto woods or whatever. That there is the option of composting them.
Keep it out of the blue bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and maybe, I think one of the things that we probably suffer from is we're a little too close to it and we know the why.
Yeah.
And I think we just always have to remind ourselves that a lot of people don't know the why, so maybe that's got to be at the top of the communication coming into next year is like, here's the why.
Yeah.
And there's certainly plenty of alternatives, but if you don't have those alternatives, come join us for a hot chocolate and drop the pump.
And it's such a rich piece of organic matter.
Yeah.
It's really desirable.
So I don't know what the numbers have been for tonnage-wise for compost. I haven't seen the latest figures, but
So they're actually maxing out the bins, and so
Really?
I didn't mention this, but yeah, they are. And so a portion. So I did reserve $56 to add an additional bin for December, because you can add and subtract them. We didn't get a funding request to carry 5 bins through the year. Part of the challenge is, for a while, the pizza boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So they solved that, I saw,
pulled-
yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
They pulled those away. It sounds like Mr. Fox might be considering a policy change, though, in terms of collecting pizza boxes. So we'll stay tuned on that. But the tonnage is great.
Is that the best vessel choice that they have for us, is the 64-gallon? Okay.
And there are 4 currently,
There's 4.
and we're maxing them out as a community.
Yep,
So we need a 5th.
for weekly pickup. Yep.
And there's a funding issue for a 5th?
Yeah.
And how much is it?
Oh, boy. Hang on, bear with me.
yeah.
Yeah, if we're able to
Is it, you said $56 a month for an additional
An
bin?
additional 56, so, oops. I'm not good under pressure, sorry.
So like $600 and some odd dollars per year.
Wow, math in public, he's good.
Can I make a donation?
I was going to say, that's the question, is like,
Seriously,
can we get
Water
sponsorship?
Street Bookstore would be happy to sponsor
That'd be so
a compost bin.
Oh, yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, we'll do this offline, Kristen.
Okay, sorry.
We
No,
can have a
no
sign
worries.
saying, sponsored by
So you budgeted for 4 bins, right?
So right now, it's $3,096 a year for
For the
4.
4, yeah.
And so it's an additional, not quite
Yeah.
$760.
Let's, you and I coordinate offline, and the bookstore will sponsor that 5th bin.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
And to be honest,
that's easy.
I think as we get more successful with that, I don't think it'd be very difficult to have additional
Other sponsors.
other sponsors. I think
Yeah.
it's a slam dunk.
Yeah.
maybe you should have a sign to say sponsored by.
It's okay. we can be quiet givers.
It's the flies and stuff. It's not really a good look for the brand.
Staying on that composting trend there, Revision Energy has recently requested that Mr. Fox start picking up from our office in Brentwood as well.
Oh, cool.
And obviously, being a construction company, we have a lot of different wastes, and it all gets sorted down very specifically because all of the people that take away our waste are making a financial benefit off that waste. And one of the things that has steered our mission is sustainability and long-term viability of renewables. And we made a decision as a branch to move in that direction after some experiences with Mr. Fox at some of our events. We actually developed a sustainability position at our company. So we now have a sustainability role that focuses on that.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
Yep. So
That's cool.
pretty cool.
Super
That
cool.
Mr. Fox
Yeah.
trend.
And I did reach out to them just to talk through how a community rollout of a curbside composting bin would work, or curbside composting program would work. And I think it's York is doing like an initial pilot study. And so I've been talking with Ashley there. She's going to share the information that they get with that in terms of cost savings and, reduction in tipping fees for the landfill. And so I think that'll be helpful moving forward in terms of the building the case for a change or altering how we manage the landfill portion of our waste removal. So.
Get the wet out of the blue.
Yeah, exactly. I agreed. I'd love to find ourselves, because obviously it requires adoption at the residence level to make it work. But if the incentive could be, I know we buy blue bags, I don't know what they cost. If a paper garbage bag could be offered to people that are curbside composting at like a fraction of the cost, it still has to have the Exeter stamp on it to be an official, to make the truck drive around and pick it up. But, I'd love to find the right incentives to continue to compost. I love to envision a future where there's 3 little bins at the curb, and one of them being compost, the biggest one.
And I think having those numbers of cost, just shifting your expenses for tipping fees toward paying for curbside compost, having those numbers, it makes it easier to build the case.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. I mean, I always would like to think when we talk about this, as a town, we spend $1.2 million a year on having our stuff hauled away. How we manage that and what gets hauled away, if we're already willing to pay that, let us figure out the best way to do that sustainably. It shouldn't matter who gets the $1.2 million per se, right? Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the town as an entity should be neutral about where that money goes.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or putting its money behind the most sustainable option.
Right.
Practice.
Agreed.
All right. Any other business? I think just an update on the plastic situation.
Yeah, we talked about that. I'd love to learn where the town is on the implementation of the ordinance, the distribution ordinance.
Can I speak to that?
Sure.
So we did have a meeting, and Kristen was there, but no member of the committee was there, and we decided to hold up because we really want you there working with us to figure out how to implement this. You had done some good work on sort of inserting it into the permitting process for events. If I'm remembering correctly, it was a bit ago.
Yeah, so so legal counsel looked at it, and they had recommended creating a subcommittee of members from sustainability, from the Parks and Rec, to really refine those kind of gray areas in the ordinance that are difficult to implement.
Yeah, we felt like we were flying a little blind without any of you there.
Okay.
So I would suggest you all figuring out which of you is going to come to the select board meeting when it's on the agenda and just coordinate with Chairman Papakonstantis.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
That sounds good. And do we already know when it's going to be back on the agenda, or will our outreach to the select board get it back on the agenda?
I would reach out to Nico.
Okay.
And coordinate with him.
Okay.
And then, make sure that a few of you at least can be there.
Yeah.
Because we really felt like we weren't in a position to move forward without input from you. So it would be like a work session.
Okay.
But Kristen had done some really good work getting it closer to the finish line of implementing that citizens petition that was approved by the voters.
Okay.
And there's a fallow time between deliberative session and town vote that might be good. Obviously, it's up to the chair. The agenda is his prerogative.
Yeah.
But that might be a good place to kind of,
Okay.
that February and February time period after deliberative.
Okay.
We're pretty jammed until
I imagine you were.
deliberative. Yeah. But then things quiet down a little bit, so until the vote, and then it gets busy again.
I know there was some discussion with legal counsel whether streets were or weren't town property. Was that resolved? No?
I think it's a difference of opinion, so
Oh,
Yeah.
I think we're okay.
okay.
But
Yeah.
we need to talk through it.
But to have a work session with at least one or two voices from the
That'd be great. Yeah,
Sustainability Advisory with the Select Board and Kristen obviously in the room,
That'd be fantastic.
because you're going to be doing so much of the implementation. I think that's kind of how we saw it going forward.
Makes sense.
Okay. All right, any other business?
Not for me.
No? Okay.
We covered the entire waterfront here.
Covered a lot.
It's a very effective meeting.
All right.
When people show up, we can get stuff done.
Okay. 8:16, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Great job.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.